Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to your
Weird
Weird
Week.
Week. We're a little bit somber here today because, it's really funny sometimes how our cards go. I'm sure we looked at it with everything we knew that was going to happen last week, or, could happen last week. The striking auto workers and more strikes happening and discontent in the labor sector, the political divide, dividing more, Republicans fighting with each other of who's going to be the next speaker, and all the
Various
stuff.
hot spots in the world.
Right. Well, but we didn't see what happened this last Sunday, Saturday to Sunday, this atrocious attack, on Israel by Hamas militants and terrorists. And, there is two sides to what is going on in Israel and Palestine. We realize that the Palestinians have been suffering for many, many years, with 2 million people squashed into the Gaza Strip. Israel took more land, all this stuff, I'm not blaming Israel. I don't think, what has happened to them is any kind of solution to the problem. So we're going to look at, though, how the cards line up with what happened, okay?
So this is our review of last week's card.
Let's start. The Lovers reversed was card 1, and what is that position, Mr. O?
It's the major focus, theme, or tone for the week, and we use the Twin Tarot Oracle deck, which is the major arcana in a reversed and an upright form. Just those cards.
Yes, and the Lovers were reversed, which indicates that somebody making a bad choice here. They've made a choice, and it's not a good one. It could be unethical. It could have, very negative ramifications. And so you can add to that if you'd like.
Well, I just think that the idea of the Lovers as a choice between good things and bad things is almost a metaphor for the conditions between, or the situation between, Israel and Palestine. The fact that they are sort of mismatched lovers of a sort.
Yeah, well, all around. But if I look at the Lovers in terms of just the events of the week, not the entire history of their conflict, which of course plays into it. But if we think about this choice, this to me is talking about Hamas making the decision to make the attack. Now, I don't know if they made that decision last week, but clearly the decision was made to strike that week.
It must have been because it seems to be timed around the Yom Kippur holiday, the ending of the holiday, as well as some talks that were going on.
True. It could have been planned for that. It could have been planned for derailing peace talks between Israel and Saudi Arabia, which were getting close to some breakthroughs, I think, here. But the whole point is that they probably had this planned in advance, the date even. It's just that they were probably maybe firming it up. The other thing is maybe they did plan it at the last minute that it was going to be this date. And why am I saying that? Because apparently almost every intelligence agency that should have their eyes on the situation, including U.S. intelligence, seems to have suffered a major failure here. They didn't see it coming. It's almost like 9/11, but 9/11, now it stands to come out yet whether there were warning signs or not. Because remember, even with 9/11, I think it took a little while before we realized there were some advanced warning signs to this, that was revealed, and they were ignored. So whether that's the case or they didn't see it coming, it's an intelligence failure. Card number 2, the Magician, upright. So what would a positive card play a role in this? What is that position?
What we'll see or find out. What are the mysteries to be uncovered?
I think what this means is that, and remember, if we're looking at world events and we're looking things from other eyes than our own, let's say we're looking at the Magician from Hamas's eyes. They made sure they had everything in place. Everything was very coordinated for this attack. They attacked by land, by air, by sea. They had paragliders with terrorists gliding into Israel. So they attacked Israel on all fronts.
Yep, they did.
And, they may not have the military might that the superpowers have. So they gathered up all the resources that they could to make a successful incursion. And it
That's
was a
the
painful
magician.
one.
That is the magician.
Yeah. They put their will, they put everything, they
Their
were
belief.
determined, their beliefs and their feeling of being wronged, and that they were standing up for, you know, their opinions, that they want Israel to be out of there and not exist.
In a way, they did an act of magic.
Ew. Well, we got to call it like we see it here in card 3.
The other perspectives that need to be considered, and that's from the Tarot of Oppositions, which is kind of a double-sided, you know, kind of thing. It shows us both the reversed and the upright qualities.
Let's talk about that. So, you know, the Five of Pentacles reversed is here, and let's face it, there are no winners in this situation. I mean, everybody is hurting. You know, everybody's hurting. I'm sure there are other countries hurting along with we are. You know, in our country, we've had protests today on both sides, you know, people wanting the Palestinians to get their, you know, land to be treated fairly, to stop all of the oppression that they've been going through. There are others who, and not to fund Israel, there are others who are demanding action for Israel, to save Israel from this horrible onslaught. So there's that in other countries, but also hostages have been taken in this event. Not just Israeli hostages. I heard tonight that there might be U.S. hostages there. There definitely have been, I believe they do say, confirmed that there are some U.S. casualties. I don't believe anybody's been named yet. And so, you know, I am sure, because there was a music concert there that might have attracted people from other countries, that it's probably had some international impact as well. There is pain on all sides.
Absolutely.
And hurt. And a sense of loss. And so if we look at the other side of the Five of Pentacles, you know, the reversed side, which this was reversed, does this whole situation certainly need to heal? They need really some intervention here, you know, that they are probably both sides unwilling to accept. You know, they're dug into their positions, and it's hard for healing to occur under those circumstances.
Right. And, you know, the Five of Pentacles is a good metaphor for other things, too, because, of course, from other people's point of views who are maybe observing the situation from outside of that focus, many people may see either Palestinians or Israelis as being the main victims here. They both are in their own ways, but clearly, you know, there are some key differences. There's no solution here that can be resolved through the means that they're trying to do that. There's only going to be something more diplomatic if it could actually be brought to bear.
The Chariot reversed for the overall impact. Dead in the water. You know, there's no positive movement at any rate. And as a matter of fact, we're backtracking. You know, if this was the anniversary of what, the 1973 war that's up and coming?
The Yom Kippur War.
Yes.
Right.
You know, this means they're back at war again. It's almost like we're time stepping backwards, which is not a good thing in this case. And also, I would say that it's possible that the peace talks between Saudi and Israel are definitely going to be put on hold for a while. That's what it would seem to me.
Well, the overall impact from the Healing Light Tarot seems to suggest that none of the real solutions have ever been really considered, and that mostly the Chariot reverse stands as a metaphor for no one else being able to arbitrate here. No one is in control. Neither Israel nor Palestine is in control
I like that.
of their chariot.
Yeah.
They're just using it to ram at the other side. And
yeah.
This is probably going to ultimately, and it should have always been this way, need oversight from the United Nations, from the European Union, from somebody else who can kind of show these players what they really have to do.
And may I digress a little bit here, you know, with the Five of Pentacles again. I just wanted to add that, you know, not only were there casualties in Israel, but there's definitely going to be massive casualties in Palestine. I can't see any way around that. You know, Israel is going to keep bombing. They're possibly going to go in there. Hamas knows this too. They went ahead and did this knowing they are outmatched, outpowered, and either they're hoping for bigger conflagration in Iran or others, Hezbollah, to get involved, or they know that people on their side are going to be feeling a world of pain. And as it stands right now, because Israel does run that land with an iron fist, they cut off electricity, they have cut off supplies to the region, which is going to put the people in a very bad position. So I had to digress to that. So let's move on though to this last card, shall we? So what is the what could win or lose the weird week? Well, depending on whose side you're on, Hamas feels they may have gained a lot here, because they've got hostages now to negotiate with Israel with, and believe me, they're going to use them. And vice versa here. I think what we are finding out is that the sneak attack happened. The sneak attack happened. I mean, the Seven of Swords is about crafty, sneaky behavior, right?
Well, and it could very well be that by having these hostages, this is the part of that last card that hasn't played out yet. Will Israel capitulate to demands because of hostages being held? History seems to show that Israel puts a high priority on not having their citizens or their hostages harmed in these kind of situations. So it may be that, something will have to give on Israel's part in terms of what Hamas is trying to get at here.
This is just a very weird card in this position. I do feel it kind of signaled the attack itself, that it finally took place. Everything kind of building to a point where, they decided to make it a go, and they actually found holes, I feel, in the intelligence agencies. When you think about it here, this was a major intelligence failure. And the Seven of Swords is about, things that are hidden, things that you have to find out about and ferret out about, or that you want to remain under wraps until you're ready to take action or strike.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I guess it's time to get going then.
There's so many things happening that it's going to be hard to figure out what these cards are going to tell us for the week
And this
ahead.
whole thing really distracts away from so many other issues. It's not that it's not important, but obviously a lot of other things are going to sit back now and say like,
Well, it's not just that, the war in Ukraine. There's so much conflict in the world right now.
So, beginning.
The beginning. What will be the focus for the week ahead? And of course, as mentioned earlier, it's with the Twin Tarot, the double major arcana deck. One deck is upright interpretations, one is reversed.
Just the major arcana. So we get 24 cards, 22 that are the major arcana reversed and 22 that are upright.
And we get the major theme or focus because that's kind of what the major cards are about. If the card in my head shows up, I'm going to freak out. No. But it's negative. It's the Emperor reversed. Well, that doesn't bode too well. What would you say, Mr. O? A lot of bullying going on here?
The Emperor reverse shows that the Emperor has no clothes, that the Emperor probably is just trying to prod and make things happen just by his own force of will, that maybe is severely conflicted, that there may be situations right now where nobody really wants to listen to the Emperor, nobody really values the Emperor, but that's not going to really stop the Emperor from trying to do what they want to do.
I think this is the Emperor is a micromanager. This Emperor is someone who wants control. They demand control and they demand their way. They're not interested in negotiating, for example. They want what they want and they'll fight for it, if they have to. Well, maybe not them. They'll send their armies out to fight for it if they have to.
So right now, this could apply to any number of the situations that we normally feel are important going on around the country or the world.
Well, true that, and I reserve judgment on where the cards are heading till I see more.
All right, so then we
Right.
move to card 2. What we will find out or see, what are the mysteries to be solved? And that's with the Secrets Tarot. And we chose the decks that we use because we feel that they have a thematic quality that lends itself to the question or field that we're asking about. So the Secrets Tarot maybe shows about things that, maybe have a secret edge to it. And so we want to apply that to this reading. What is it that we will find out or hopefully find out?
Or see.
Or see. And it's the reversed Four of Wands.
Well, does it mean that something will calm down a little bit? That maybe, some cooler heads will prevail in whatever situation, is going on right now? That there may not be a reason to celebrate per se, but that, things kind of plod along and some things are taken care of, get back to work on things that need more firming up.
The Four of Wands reversed doesn't always feel like an exact opposite. It still feels like there's, something going on that's important, that there's a sense of things moving towards their fruition. It just may be that maybe they're diminished a little bit, that maybe the expectation is not as great. And so maybe if we are looking for things to solve or resolve or fit into place, it maybe is a little bit creaky. So what we may find out is that things are not easily going to go back to the way they were before, whatever this week's dynamics is about.
In Israel, if this is about that situation, pretty much said as much, that things will never be the same. That's what they said.
This is a very big impact on Israel for sure.
They feel it's their 9/11 moment, as they put it. And, even in the U.S., has anything been the same since that time? Well, maybe somebody would argue certain policy things, yes. But there are many things that had changed due to 9/11. Some of the airport security that we have now, for example.
Right. Things are just in place now that will probably always stay that way.
Yeah.
And that basically the American people have given up some sense of freedom, some certain amount of freedoms in order to combat what 9/11 represented to us.
So may I? Card 3 is what other perspectives need to be considered. And for that, we use our joint deck, the Tarot of Oppositions. So we will both be shuffling and we can look at, we give emphasis to the side that turns upright, but really, upright or reversed is red in this position.
And the idea is that we can go between those extremes. We can also look at things closer to where they intersect and decide perhaps if that's where our message is at. It just depends on what card it is.
This is the deck that I can't shuffle on this table.
It's very slowly getting more flexible. Very slowly.
Well, not for my style.
Excuse me.
Of shuffling, unfortunately. Look at that. So I just got to do one more good shuffle over here, I think. Turn. Look at that. Perfect. Okay.
So, card 3, the other perspectives to consider.
It's upright. No, it's reversed.
It's the Sun reversed.
Well, things could be worse. It's almost in a sense like this Four of Wands here. It's not necessarily a total bad card.
The Sun reversed is not a total bad card, and almost all guides will tell you that it is not as bad at all. What it may be considering is that uh, other perspectives are that basically we're going to find out something, or we're going to find it out but not quite in time, or that there are some delays to finding out what we need to find out, or there's some delays to really shedding the light where it needs to be shed, especially if this is about figuring out how things have been done.
This card does give it a little bit more of a somber tone, but we have to remember here that we are reading both sides of the card either way. So I feel here that maybe this is indicating that, there will be some people who are feeling very, very uplifted by a situation, here, and others who are not. I lend more credence to the top of the card because, that's what's here, the reversal. So I would say there's a lot of unhappiness, but yet others really are pretty pleased with what has occurred. And whether this is Israel or something else, we may find this has to do with something completely different next week. Want to add to that or no?
Yes, it could be that this is sort of a sober look at a finality, like sort of saying this has happened and now we need to move on from this. The idea that this
We need to find our joy again, or we need to find peace again.
could be, but it could also be saying too that there are things to find out about the situation, whether it is about Israel, Palestine, whether it's about anything else. It's a sober realization that there's still something to know or to see about.
There's always two sides to every conflict, or, even to different things that are going on in the world. So,
So that takes us now to card 4. What is the overall impact?
And that is my Healing Light Tarot. Let's see if it can shed some healing or some light on the circumstances we are faced with in the week ahead. This is also the week that they will be talking about replacing the Speaker of the House in the U.S. I can tell you that is supposed to come up this week, I believe. There's still negotiations. There was some positive developments in the UAW strike this last weekend, so that might be taking center stage this week as well. So we have to broaden our perspective here to other possibilities, nationally or internationally. The UN is probably going to have sessions on this conflict that has happened too, so stay tuned for more this week to come out. Wow.
It's the 2 of Cups.
It has to be. It's not the High Priestess, right? It's not the Lovers. Yeah. It's the 2 of Cups.
I'm pretty sure that is.
Oh, it is. It's the 2 of... I'm just looking for the cups and where are they?
I know. Are those cups down there?
Let me take a look. Yeah, there's right here it looks like one for sure. Right by the column. They might both be there, actually. I'm not sure. But it is the 2 of Cups.
So it could be that there will be some call for, universal world look at these problems, whatever this is referring to.
Somebody's coming together here. Maybe another strike will be resolved. Remember, the actors are still striking as well in California. There's also talks of some pharmacy walkouts this week. So, like I said, there is just a lot going on right now. So I could see this going in a lot of different ways.
The card feels healing in itself in a way.
It does feel healing. It's a coming together. 2 sides coming together. So, I don't know. I almost can't imagine that right now in the Israeli conflict. It seems too early for me, but I don't know.
Well, the other thing about the Two of Cups is that it sort of talks about partnerships that have trust and harmony as their basis. And so this could be saying that in
Oh,
any of these situations, maybe somebody is trying to create a new alliance that would hopefully further,
one cause or the other. And so, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, that could very well be that some people are going to come together and work together in harmony on solving whatever this is. So, that hopefully will be a good thing.
I'm
hoping.
sure more than just Israel will want to figure out why their intelligence failed too.
True that.
So finally, we go to card 5. What could win the weird week, or maybe not? That is the
Or
possible
maybe
strategies or
not.
outcomes. And we use the Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot.
Oh boy. Yeah, a lot of positivity here, or not so unpositive, let's put it that way. So what could win
And
it?
it's the 3 of Pentacles, 3 of Diamonds here, but it's reversed.
Hmm. How ironic. We have this coming together here, but ultimately what could lose the weird week is people not being able to work together. People not being able to come together to work on a constructive, to come up with a constructive way forward or constructive solution.
Some of this looks like maybe people don't want to accept everybody as the honest partner in this. If this is about a teamwork, maybe someone will say, well, I can work with you, but I can't work with country X over there, or actor, politician B over here, or whatever it is. So this is about really what could win the week would be finding the way to create the alliances that do respect each other and want to work as honest partners.
Yeah. Gee,
And this could be applying to all of these situations. It could be applying to any breakthroughs that are coming towards, climate control situations, or anything that's going on in the legal jeopardy cases of the 911 or 9. I'm sorry, January 6th conspiracy thing. Any of that stuff even could be affected by people's willingness or unwillingness to accept, somebody else's, work here.
wow. Well, why don't we go back and take a look at
Yes.
these and see if we can come up with something? And maybe I'm going to wait till the end as we go through this to
Okay.
come up with that. I feel here, though, this is not a positive card.
No.
And this is not a positive card in situations of war. Because it indicates to me a lot of power struggle. It indicates to me a lot of people trying to push their weight around, both sides or somebody in particular playing the bully or trying to, just get everything done their way. And hey, that could be, a former president of ours for that matter. But I am not going to go there yet.
Another idea behind the Emperor reverse to me sort of talks about maybe somebody who isn't getting good advice from their advisors too. And that could be any one of these actors in any one of these situations. When we talk about home politics, we realize that maybe there are a lot of people who are just willing to give very bad advice to how to solve our political problems or our other problems.
The Four of Wands is such a positive card. I think about, some of the interpretations speaking of, hey, just enjoy the simple life. Why make things complicated? Or just enjoy simple pleasures. Some little work needs to be tidied up or completed. Look for the finer points of things. So how does this apply to the crazy situations we have going on right now? I think we might see here, perhaps, some progress being made somewhere. That's all I can say. That's really all I can say about it. And
right. It just sort of feels like it's not incredibly vital. Like it's just sort of chugging along there, and it might surprise us, but maybe it won't.
Things might be not as built on solid ground as they need to be. And so people need to, firm up, whether it's Israel firming up their defenses, something going on in the Ukraine war. I don't know. I'm totally not sure about that card.
So then card 3 is what other perspectives need to be considered. And it's the sun reversed, with the idea that maybe there is a kind of range or spectrum here of what that means.
It's interesting to me because I see so many different things when I look at this card and consider both sides. The obvious is one of the obvious is what I said is that, there are people who are going to be very happy over circumstances, and there are going to be people who are kind of gloomy, But when I look at it again, I wonder to myself too, if this isn't talking, let's say, for example, if this was talking about Hamas in Palestine, they operated out of a sense of, the sorrow and oppression, feeling like they felt beaten down, they felt pessimistic about their future, and they succeeded in totally changing the dynamic here a little bit here, for better or worse.
Totally. It is kind of a sober, I liked it when you said that,
Yeah.
a sober acceptance maybe that things are changing to some degree in their favor, but maybe the jury is out a little bit for them as well as the rest of us looking at this.
Right, because this could also be Israel, and they know that they have the power to squash this,
Yeah.
but it's hurting them. It is hurting them. They have suffered. And so what is going to happen next? The overall impact apparently will be some people coming together, maybe people choosing sides. In a sense, we see this in our country here with protesters, There are people who are siding with the Palestinians and their cause and are worried about what's going to happen next to them. And there are those who are siding with Israel and for the same reasons worried about what's going to happen next in Israel.
Right. And so it really comes down to the idea that maybe people who really find they can trust people and work as honest partners will somehow, find each other and maybe commit to trying to repair all this. And this is the same whether it was the union squabbles or whether it's other situations that are going on right now.
And I could almost see this card here, our final card, as being the United Nations. Their inability to come together and on I'm sure there are going to be plenty of people there who are going to condemn this act, all the way around. But of course, then the blame will start. They'll blame Israel. They'll blame Palestine. Sides will be formed. And it's like as if people will not be able to come together on how to resolve this in a peaceable manner with one another.
Well, there are only 4 or 5 countries that have a permanent veto power in the UN. Surprisingly, in my mind, one of them is Israel, who really, they're not like the big, national powers that the US or Russia are, but they were given this power. And so it's going to be really hard to see people really, really trusting each other, working together with that kind of going on, because I think they have the power to just block anything. And other countries do too. Russia has the power to block things. The US has a big power to block things.
And if we look at something like the UAW strike in particular here stands out to me because some of the things I've been seeing in the news, if you look at the negative emperor, this is really both sides, I think the UAW, Sean Fain, I admire him, but there are some things that are really in your face about him. He's really he wears Eat the Rich shirts on camera. He speaks very, very derogatorily to, the other side corporate management. And I know you got to put on a tough visage. And I would say for the other side, corporate management knows how to play hardball too, let's face it. But it's not solving anything, And so I think here too, with what we'd find out or see, is that there might be a little progress here and there, but we're not really coming down to a breakthrough moment yet. The other perspectives need to be considered if both sides are still a way off from the success that they want.
Right, with that final card there, it just doesn't seem that a
Well, I didn't go
major...
there yet, because but go ahead.
Well, I thought we'd been reviewing...
No, I was talking about this. This, to me, is both sides just negotiating. Mm-hmm. They are at the table more, and they are in serious negotiations now. So it's possible more things might be compromised on, but they're still not there.
Where are the honest partners?
Right, and there may be a breakdown again where Sean, next week, last week he did not extend the strike further. Next week, I think it's possible he could. So that's just to give you another idea here. I don't want to totally emphasize this on Israel. We haven't talked about the court cases that Trump's involved in, or some of the other players and other things going on in the world, like Ukraine, who's worried about aid from the U.S., etc. So we're just going to have to see what happens and how this next week transpires until we meet you again for another episode of Your
Weird Week.
Till then, everybody, stay safe in this crazy world, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.